Some people walk among us with a darkness so complete that they feel nothing when they destroy others. These individuals don't just make mistakes or have bad days. They operate from a place of pure malice that most of us can't even comprehend. The scary part is that they often look just like everyone else. They smile, they laugh, they seem normal on the surface. But underneath, they're calculating every move to cause maximum damage to the people around them. What makes someone truly evil isn't always obvious. It's not the villain from a movie who announces their evil plans. Real evil is much more subtle and much more dangerous. It creeps into your life through behaviors that might seem small at first, but reveal something absolutely chilling about a person's character. Today, we're going to expose 5 specific behaviors that prove someone has crossed the line from being difficult or selfish to being genuinely evil. These aren't just red flags, these are alarm bells that should make you run in the opposite direction. Each behavior we'll discuss shows a complete lack of human empathy and a willingness to cause suffering without any remorse. This information could protect you from some of the most dangerous people on the planet. It could save you from years of manipulation, abuse, or worse. Don't skip any part of this video, because each behavior builds on the last one. If you want to save time, watch at 1.5 or 2 times speed instead of jumping around. Every single detail matters when it comes to recognizing pure evil before it's too late. Now let's dive into the first behavior that separates the truly evil from the rest of us. Picture this. Someone accidentally drops their coffee all over their white shirt right before an important meeting. Most people would feel bad for them, maybe even offer to help. But there's one person in the room who can't stop smiling. They're trying to hide it, but you can see it in their eyes. They're absolutely thrilled by this person's misfortune. This is behavior number 1 out of 5, and it's called sadism. Don't worry, I'm not talking about anything too complicated here. Sadism is simply when someone gets genuine pleasure from watching others suffer. It's like they feed off other people's pain the way normal people enjoy a good meal. Here's what makes this so chilling. These people don't just accidentally hurt others. They actively create situations where they know someone will get hurt, embarrassed, or upset. Think about that coworker who always accidentally schedules important meetings when they know you have a family emergency. Or that friend who brings up your most embarrassing moment every single time you're around new people. What's really scary is how they disguise this behavior. They'll tell you they're just joking around or trying to teach you a lesson. But watch their face when you're hurting. You'll see something that will make your blood run cold. While you're in pain, they're having the time of their life. Normal people feel something called empathy. When you see someone crying, you feel sad too. When someone gets hurt, you want to help. But these individuals have something broken inside them. They see your tears and think it's entertainment. They watch you struggle and consider it their personal comedy show. The difference between accidental harm and what these people do is like the difference between stepping on someone's foot by mistake and deliberately stomping on it while making eye contact. One is human error, the other is pure evil. They test boundaries constantly. They'll say something slightly mean and watch your reaction. If you don't push back, they'll go further next time. If you let them get away with small cruelties, they'll escalate to bigger ones. It's like they're conducting experiments on how much pain they can cause before you finally break. What makes this behavior so dangerous is that it reveals a complete absence of human empathy. These people don't see you as a person with feelings. They see you as a source of entertainment. When someone can watch you suffer and feel joy instead of compassion, they've crossed a line that normal people never cross. The most terrifying part is how normal they seem on the surface. They laugh at the right times, they say the right things, but underneath they're calculating their next move. They're figuring out exactly what will hurt you the most and planning how to make it happen while looking innocent. Now, have you ever dealt with someone who could turn any situation into everyone else's fault? I'm talking about people who have perfected the art of making themselves the victim in every single scenario, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. Let me paint you a picture that might feel painfully familiar. Someone promises to help you with something important. Maybe they say they'll drive you to the airport for your dream vacation. The day comes and they're nowhere to be found. You miss your flight, lose money, and your entire trip is ruined. When you finally reach them, they don't apologize. Instead, they attack you for not calling them earlier to remind them, or they blame their phone for not working, or they say you should have had a backup plan. This is behavior number 2 out of 5, and it's absolutely mind-blowing how these people operate. They have this supernatural ability to twist every situation until somehow, magically, they're never at fault. It's like they live in an alternate reality where they're always the victim and everyone else is out to get them. But here's where it gets really dark. They don't just avoid responsibility, they actively manipulate you into feeling guilty for their mistakes. They'll make you feel like you're the bad person for being upset about their behavior. They'll say things like, "I can't believe you're being so selfish," or, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." The psychological manipulation is so subtle that you might not even realize it's happening. One minute you're rightfully angry at them for breaking their promise, and the next minute you're apologizing to them for making them feel bad. It's like they have this magical power to rewrite history right in front of your eyes. They use a technique called gaslighting, which is when they make you question your own memory and perception. They'll deny saying things you clearly remember them saying. They'll claim events happened differently than you remember. They'll make you feel like you're going crazy, and then they'll offer to help you remember things correctly. Their version, of course. What makes this behavior so exhausting is that you can never have a simple conversation about their mistakes. Every single discussion turns into a 3-hour marathon where somehow you end up being the villain. They'll bring up things from years ago. They'll change the subject. They'll cry. They'll get angry. Anything to avoid saying those simple words, "I was wrong and I'm sorry." Normal people feel something called guilt and shame when they hurt others. These emotions are uncomfortable, but they serve an important purpose. They help us recognize when we've done something wrong so we can make it right. But these individuals seem to be missing this basic human function entirely. The pattern always repeats itself. They mess up, they blame others, they make themselves the victim, and then they act like nothing happened. Meanwhile, you're left feeling confused, frustrated, and somehow responsible for their behavior. It's absolutely exhausting to deal with someone who operates this way. If you're finding this information as eye-opening as I hope you are, and you haven't already, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Trust me, you're going to want to stay connected for more insights that could literally change how you see the world around you. Now, what I'm about to share with you might completely change how you view certain people in your life. This third behavior is so calculating and so deliberately cruel that it reveals the darkest aspects of human nature. Evil people don't pick random targets. They're like predators in the wild. They specifically hunt for the weakest prey. But instead of hunting for food, they're hunting for people they can manipulate, control, and hurt without consequences. Watch how these individuals behave around different types of people, and you'll see something absolutely chilling. Around their boss or someone who could challenge them, they're suddenly polite, respectful, and well-behaved. But around someone who seems vulnerable or powerless, they transform into something completely different. This is behavior number 3 out of 5, and it shows just how calculated their evil truly is. They don't lose control or have anger issues. They make deliberate choices about who deserves their cruelty and who doesn't. They have this twisted radar that helps them identify potential victims. They look for people who are going through difficult times, people who seem lonely, people who are naturally trusting, or people who have low self-esteem. It's like they can smell vulnerability from a mile away. Think about how they approach someone who just lost a loved one. While normal people offer comfort and support, these individuals see an opportunity. They know that grieving people are emotionally fragile and more likely to accept bad treatment because they're not thinking clearly. They test their potential victims like a scientist conducting experiments. They might say something slightly inappropriate and watch the reaction. If the person doesn't push back strongly, they know they've found someone they can manipulate. If someone stands up to them immediately, they'll usually back off and find an easier target. Children are particularly vulnerable to these people because kids naturally trust adults and don't have the experience to recognize manipulation. Elderly people become targets because they might be isolated or dealing with health issues that make them dependent on others. People going through depression, divorce, or financial problems are also prime targets. The isolation process is probably the most sinister part of their strategy. They slowly separate their victims from friends, family, and support systems. They might say things like, "Your family doesn't really understand you like I do," or "Your friends are just jealous of our relationship." Before the victim realizes what's happening, they're completely alone and dependent on their abuser. What makes this behavior so evil is how deliberately predatory it is. These people don't accidentally hurt vulnerable individuals. They specifically seek them out. They know exactly what they're doing, and they do it anyway because they know they can get away with it. The calculating nature of victim selection shows that these individuals aren't just having bad days or struggling with their own problems. They're making conscious choices to target people who can't fight back effectively. This level of deliberate cruelty is what separates them from people who are just difficult or selfish. If you're realizing that this information is protecting you from potentially dangerous people and you want to support the important work we're doing here, you can show your appreciation by clicking the thanks button just below this video. Every bit of support helps us continue bringing you life-changing content like this. Now let's continue with the next behavior that will shock you even more. This next behavior is going to reveal something absolutely terrifying about the mindset of truly evil people. What I'm about to share with you is a lesson that could save you from years of manipulation and abuse, so don't take this lightly. Evil people don't see themselves as equal to other human beings. In their twisted worldview, they exist on a completely different level from everyone else. They genuinely believe that they are superior beings who deserve special treatment, special privileges, and special consideration that the rest of us don't deserve. This is behavior number 4 out of 5, and it's the foundation that makes all their other evil behaviors possible. When someone truly believes they're better than everyone else, they can justify absolutely any action they take against other people. The most chilling part of this superiority complex is how it affects their view of other human beings. They don't see you as a person with feelings, dreams, hopes, and fears. They see you as an object that exists solely for their benefit. You're like a tool in their toolbox, useful when they need something, but completely disposable when they don't. Watch how they react when they don't get their way. Normal people might feel disappointed or frustrated, but they understand that life doesn't always go according to plan. These individuals become absolutely enraged when they don't receive what they believe they deserve. They act like the entire world has personally wronged them. Rules and laws are suggestions to these people, not requirements. They'll speed through school zones, cut in line, take handicapped parking spaces, and break promises without a second thought. When confronted, they'll act like you're the problem for expecting them to follow the same rules as everyone else. In relationships, this superiority complex becomes absolutely toxic. They expect their partners to cater to their every need, while completely dismissing their partner's feelings and requirements. They'll make major decisions without consulting anyone, spend money without permission, and expect everyone to adjust their lives around their schedule. At work, they'll take credit for other people's achievements while blaming their failures on their co-workers. They'll expect promotions they haven't earned, demand special treatment they don't deserve, and act like their time is more valuable than everyone else's. The way they justify their harmful actions is absolutely mind-blowing. Because they see themselves as superior, they believe that anything they do is automatically justified. If they hurt someone, it's because that person deserved it. If they break a promise, it's because something more important came up. If they lie, it's because the truth would be wasted on inferior people. This is why they never feel genuine remorse for their actions. Remorse requires recognizing that you've done something wrong to someone who matters. But since they don't believe other people really matter, they can't experience true guilt or shame about their behavior. The combination of superiority complex and complete lack of empathy creates something absolutely dangerous. These people have convinced themselves that they have the right to use, manipulate, and hurt other human beings without consequences. They've created a mental framework that allows them to commit acts of cruelty while maintaining their self-image as the good guy. This superiority complex is what allows them to sleep peacefully at night after destroying someone's life. They don't see themselves as the villain in anyone's story. They see themselves as the hero who's simply dealing with inferior people who don't understand their greatness. Now, I want you to think about something that brings you genuine joy. Maybe it's your relationship with your family, your career achievements, your hobbies, or your dreams for the future. Now imagine someone deliberately setting out to destroy that source of happiness, not by accident, but with calculated precision. This fifth and final behavior is perhaps the most heartbreaking of all, because it reveals just how deeply these individuals despise seeing others experience happiness or success. Evil people have this twisted need to destroy what others love most. It's not enough for them to be happy. They need to ensure that everyone around them is miserable too. They can't tolerate the idea that someone else might be experiencing joy, success, or fulfillment. Think about your own experiences for a moment. Have you ever noticed someone who seemed to have a special talent for ruining good moments? Maybe they always managed to start a fight right before your birthday celebration, or they would bring up painful memories during your happiest times. This behavior, number 5 out of 5, shows the absolute depths of human cruelty. These people study what matters most to you, and then they systematically work to destroy it. They'll sabotage your important relationships by spreading lies and creating drama. They'll undermine your career by taking credit for your work, or spreading rumors about your competence. The timing of their attacks is never random. They wait for your most vulnerable moments, your biggest opportunities, or your happiest celebrations. They know that destroying something precious during a moment of joy causes maximum psychological damage. Have you ever experienced this in your own life? Maybe you got a promotion at work, and suddenly someone close to you started pointing out all the reasons why you didn't deserve it. Or perhaps you fell in love, and someone began planting seeds of doubt about your partner's intentions. They feel genuinely threatened by other people's happiness because it reminds them of their own emptiness. When they see you succeeding, loving, or enjoying life, it highlights everything that's missing from their own existence. Instead of trying to build their own happiness, they choose to tear down yours. The calculated nature of this destruction is what makes it so evil. They don't accidentally ruin your special moments. They plan it. They wait for the perfect opportunity to cause maximum damage. They know exactly which words will hurt you most, which insecurities to exploit, and which dreams to crush. The pattern often escalates over time. They might start with small sabotages, making negative comments about your achievements, or being unavailable during important moments. But as they see how much damage they can cause, they become bolder and more destructive. The long-term psychological impact of this behavior is devastating. Victims often stop pursuing their dreams, stop forming close relationships, and stop allowing themselves to feel happy because they're constantly waiting for the next attack. The evil person has successfully stolen not just specific moments of joy, but the victim's entire capacity for happiness. Now that you've learned about these 5 behaviors that prove someone is pure evil, you have the power to protect yourself and the people you care about. These aren't just warning signs, they're alarm bells that should make you run. When someone enjoys causing pain, refuses to take responsibility, targets vulnerable people, feels superior to everyone, and destroys what others love, you're not dealing with someone who's just having a bad day. You're dealing with someone who has chosen to embrace evil as their way of life. The most important thing to remember is that you cannot change these people. You cannot love them enough, be patient enough, or try hard enough to fix what's broken inside them. Trying to change them will only result in more pain for you and more power for them. Trust your instincts when you encounter these behaviors. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that you're being too sensitive or overreacting. Your safety and well-being are worth more than being polite to someone who's chosen to be evil. The steps to protect yourself are simple, but not always easy. Create distance, build strong support systems, document their behavior, and don't be afraid to ask for help. There are resources available for people who have been victimized by these individuals. Here's the truth that might be hard to hear. If you go back to your old ways after learning this information, if you ignore these red flags and continue to allow evil people to stay in your life, you're making a choice that will cost you dearly. You now have the knowledge to recognize pure evil when you see it. Using this knowledge isn't optional. It's essential for your survival and happiness. Don't be the person who learns these lessons and then walks right back into danger. Don't be the person who knows better but continues to make excuses for people who have shown you exactly who they are. You deserve better, and now you have the tools to get better. The algorithm knows exactly what you need to learn next, so click on that video suggestion popping up on your screen right now. Trust the process, and let's continue your journey to a safer, happier life.